But now, while we're dealing with issues that have to be true, we have a saying at the sheriff's office: the crazier it is, the more unbelievable the story is, the more likely it's accurate and true. Well, here's what occurred. We have a special needs child. He's 13 years of age, and he rides a bus to school. He rides approximately 30 miles from his home in Davenport down to Lake Wales. On March the 2nd, he fell asleep, and when he woke up and he looked around, there's no one on the bus. The students are gone, the driver's gone, the bus attendant's gone, and he's left to his own devices. He gets his backpack, opens the emergency window, climbs out the window, falls to the ground, or jumps to the ground. Then he hitchhikes. He's 13 years old. He hitchhikes back home to Davenport. He doesn't tell his mother, doesn't tell anyone what occurred to him, except that the next day when he gets on the bus, which is March 3rd, he tells the attendant, "Hey, y'all left me on the bus yesterday." The attendant didn't believe him and just brushed it off. Well, let's fast forward to the next week. 7 days later, he rides to Lake Wales on the bus. He goes to sleep. He wakes up. He looks around. No students, no driver, no attendant. 2 times in 1 week, he's been left on this bus. So he gets his backpack. This time he goes out the front door, and he goes to Highway 27, and he hitchhikes, where once again he's given rides by strangers to his home or near his home in Davenport. I want to introduce you to 2 people who will not be the school bus driver and attendant of the year for the Polk County School System. Gale Brown, the driver, Gwendolyn Simmons, the attendant. You know, I have a question for them. What were you thinking? The attendant walked right by him on March the 2nd. The driver paid absolutely no attention when she left the bus, and certainly you have the video clips of that. Now, in defense of the school system, both the driver and the attendant had been appropriately trained. The bus was even assigned a child protection system so that when you turn the bus off, the alarm rings. To turn the alarm off, the attendant and or the driver has to go to the back of the bus to manually shut the alarm off. Well, here's what occurs. The bus stops at, I believe it's Roosevelt in Lake Wales, and has to wait for a while. Well, when you shut the engine off on the bus, the alarm activates. And the only way to turn it off is to go to the back of the bus. So what does either Gwendolyn or Gale do? They have one of the students at Roosevelt disarm the alarm. So then when they leave Roosevelt and they go park the bus, by virtue of not turning the stop arms on or the stop signals on, the bus doesn't reactivate the alarm system. So as a result, the alarm system was not on because they disabled it. So once again, you've got Gale and Gwendolyn, who we have arrested and charged with child neglect. They both admitted, oh yeah, we didn't check the bus like we were supposed to, like we were trained. Yes, the alarm system was turned off. All the protocols were in place. All the equipment was in place, and all the equipment was functioning. But what wasn't functioning? The brains of the driver and the attendant. It's like, are you kidding me? Do you hear what I said? They left a kid on the bus twice in 1 week. The same kid. And he's darn tired of having to hitchhike home. We're blessed that that he was picked up on every occasion by good folks that gave him a ride home, and that he wasn't picked up by some ne'er-do-well or child predator or someone who wanted to create harm for him. So how did we end up hearing about this at all? Mom receives a call on March 8th from a therapist at the school saying, "Where's your son? He's late for an appointment." Mom says, "What do you mean, where's my son? I put him on the bus to send him to school today." She said, "All I can tell you is he's not here." So she calls the school. "Nope, he didn't show up for school today." So she calls home to her daughter, and her daughter says, "Well, he just walked in the door." At the end of the day, that conduct is reprehensible, and fortunately for everyone, this event ends well in that the child's safe and all right, except it doesn't end so well for the driver and the attendant, who's to be terminated by the school system and face criminal charges. We take it very serious when we're in a position of overseeing or taking care of our children. They failed on 2 different occasions, and that's why they were arrested. Any questions?
I love hearing that it was a 13-year-old and not a 5-year-old.
Well, we're blessed. We really are. But this 13-year-old, it's important to understand, is a special needs child. He does not function at the age of a 13-year-old. But he did know his way home from school and was able to successfully hitchhike. But there's all kinds of things that could have gone terribly wrong. And I must tell you that criminal charges are the least of their concerns because the child is safe.
So the incident that happened on March 2nd was never reported because it was never known about it?
Nobody knew about it. He didn't tell his mother. And I don't know how he got back into school the next day, but he didn't tell his mother. He didn't tell anyone at school. But he did go tell the bus attendant. He told the bus attendant the next day. He said, "Hey, y'all left me on the bus yesterday. I had to hitchhike home." And she didn't believe him. She thought he was just cutting up. So you would think that at least she would have thought, "I'm not going to let them get one over on me again." But hey, it was lost on her because 7 days later, she joined her colleague to get off of the bus and leave the child once again by himself.
How did they walk past, or the bus attendant walk past the road and not notice it?
She was too busy gathering up 2 or 3 bags of something she had. And you can see her. She's walking out carrying the bags and does not even look down at this child laying in the seat sleeping next to her.
How did you guys find out after the second incident?
The second time we found out because the child failed to show during the afternoon of March 8th for a therapist appointment at the school. And so they called Mom up and said, "Where's your child?" And she said, "What do you mean, where's my child?" And the therapist said, "Well, he's not here for his appointment." And she said, "I put him on the bus this morning. He should be at school." Well, he's not here. So she calls the school. School says, "He's not here." She calls home, and a sister apparently says, "Well, he just got here."
Is this a therapy session at our children's academy?
Well, I'm not disclosing where he goes to school, but it is a therapy session for him.
Do you suspect that these two always disarm the device because they simply don't want to walk to the back of the bus all the time?
They were disarmed apparently as part of the stop. They go to Roosevelt, and they have to stay there a period of time, and they're required to turn the bus off. So when they turn the bus off, they have a student who's on the bus to disarm the alarm, and it's just a matter of shutting the button off. So then when they leave again and go to their final stop and let the kids off, the stop arms are never actuated. And as a result of not using the stop arms, it does not rearm the child device. So it was not rearmed, so there was no need to go back to the bus. Had they not messed with it, with the device, or either had rearmed it after they stopped at Roosevelt, then somebody would have had to have walked to the back of the bus. But hey, you walked past him once and let him sleep. What's to say you're not going to walk past him again and let him sleep?
When you saw the video of the 13-year-old climbing out of the window, what was your first reaction seeing that?
My first reaction was, I hope he doesn't break a leg falling to the ground. And then, I mean, he's calm, cool, collected, and it was like, well, I guess I'll have to get myself home. But the second time, he was aggravated. That's two times. He's had to hitchhike 60 miles in 1 week to get home. It's like, what are you thinking? Well, we know what they were thinking. Nothing. Between the two of them, they didn't have one thought in their head about looking out for the well-being of the children on that bus, or they would have made that cursory trip back, because it's not unusual, ladies and gentlemen. It's not unusual for children to sleep on the bus, especially when they have to make long trips.
Did they give you an explanation, the bus driver?
They just said they failed to do it. Just missed it.
This goes along with the previous question, but it seems like it would be common sense at the end of the day, if you're a bus driver, to kind of walk up and down the aisle of your bus to make sure maybe kids, not even that they are not there, but that someone in the backpack, you know, these are kids, they just forget things. How simple is it, would you think? Is it part of protocol for them to check the bus before they leave?
It is absolute protocol. It's absolutely in their training, because we checked. Not only was the bus equipped with safety devices, but it had the safety devices working. The only thing I can imagine is it wasn't in their exercise protocol for the day to do their job the right way.
And these both happened in the morning on the way to
On the way to school. I mean, heck, they had a chance to leave kids in the afternoon on the bus, because they started early in the morning doing it wrong.
Can you give us an idea of any of the developmental delays that this child has? I know you can't give us the identity, but just an idea.
I can tell you that he does not function at the level of a 13-year-old, and that he functions probably about an 8 or 9-year-old, so that I'm told, and he has developmental delays with reading and with understanding. He's shy. He has been Baker acted by us before for mental health issues, and quite frankly, he fears law enforcement and people in a position of authority. On the one occasion, where the second time, where they parked the bus was adjacent to our district station. Well, you think he would just walk out the front door and across the parking lot to the district station. But he didn't, because he doesn't trust law enforcement. He walked over half a block to Highway 27 and hitchhiked home.
They were both charged with the same charges. Is it one person's job to walk back there and do that?
Both people's job. Here's the way it is. It is the attendant's job to check the bus after all the students are supposed to be off the bus. When the driver parks the bus for the day or for the trip, it's her job then to walk it a second time. So the bus should be walked on 2 occasions. And they gave me Scott gave me a note about the driver's responsibilities, and one of the things that they sign off for their training, it says, I understand that I will check my bus seats after every run and before I leave the bus after completing my AM and PM routes. So that bus should have been checked twice. So even if the attendant missed it, the driver should have caught it.
That's part of a contract they signed?
It's part of an agreement, part of a training agreement. We can get that for you if you'd like to see it.
Is the purpose of the bus attendant, 'cause not every bus has a bus attendant?
Right.
Is that purpose because of he has special needs, or is that because of the long ride, or what is that?
It is this particular bus attendant is there because of the children that they have on the bus need extra assistance and extra help. I mean, they had double the staff on that bus that they do on some buses. It's like, I mean, I can't imagine. I just can't imagine. You know, kids will play games with you. You know they'll sleep on you. You know, they'll get underneath the seats and crawl around to play. They're children. They act like children, and we expect that. But we do expect, when we put adults on the bus, that they do what they're supposed to do. Maybe next time we can get this young man to check the bus for them, since he's got a lot of experience of being left on the bus alone. He knows the job a lot better than the attendant and the driver does. Yes, ma'am.
Can you just go back over, you said that this happened as in the morning or?
In the morning,
Both incidents?
both incidents.
Okay, and then that's when the March 8th, when he didn't show up to the therapist.
In the afternoon.
So he
She-
went to school,
No,
so he never went to school.
he never went to school. He never, ever went to school. Both times, when they dropped him off, he went home. He got on 27 and hitchhiked back to Davenport.
Okay, so he just went on home.
He went home both times, but they didn't get to missing him until he didn't show up for the therapist appointment. I don't know what the protocols are about checking the children in at school in the morning. If someone should have sent a text message to the parent and went, "Hey, where's your child? Why didn't your child check in off of the bus today?" I don't know that. But what I do know is the school system was complete with their policies, their procedures, their training. We confirmed that they had the policy in place, the procedure in place, the training in place, the safety equipment in place, and it was functioning. But you know what? When two people ignore all the rules, there's not a lot we can do other than put them in jail. And we did that.
What was the mother's reaction?
The mother was not happy. She is what we called an upset mama, with good reason. Can you imagine? You know, we all superimpose this. Can you all imagine? We have a 13-year-old child with special needs that functions at maybe an 8 or a 9-year-old, and that child has had to find his own way home from 30 miles away twice on a busy 4-lane highway that has thousands upon thousands of cars an hour that traverses that road. And when you have thousands and thousands of cars an hour that traverse that road, they're not all good people. And your baby's out there on 27 trying to make his way home. Ooh-wee.
You mentioned obviously it's understanding that he was lucky to having happened to him one of these cars. Is there any advice you have for drivers who see something like this? I mean, do you think one of these drivers who picked him up and gave him a ride should have called and say, "Hey, listen, something strange just happened. This child needs some help"? I mean, is there any responsibility to the driver at that point?
The question I ask, is it abundantly evident that this is a child too young to be trying to hitchhike on the side of the road? And the answer to that is yes. And it goes back to what we say about terrorist activity, suspicious activity. If you see something, if you hear something, say something. We would have loved for someone to have called us and told us. We would have loved for him to walk across the parking lot into our substation and go, "This is the second time in a week they've left me abandoned." But he didn't. Why? Because he's 13, he's a special needs child, and all he was focused on was getting home. And he knew how to get home. He was experienced because he had to do that the week before. I can't get over it. I just can't get over it. Y'all be good.